Okay, let's go down to Alabama.
Okay.
Marcus. Greetings, Big Al and Joe/Joel.
Joel. Yep.
Yeah,
Somebody
Marcus.
listens to the show.
Yeah, because that's what
Most people call me.
They do like to call you that.
Hey, Joel.
Does your mom call you that? Just curious.
Okay. She calls me sweetheart.
Oh,
Dear.
dear.
Yes. Oh, dear.
Okay.
First off, I thoroughly enjoy the podcast. Well, thank you, Marcus.
That's very nice.
Earlier this year, I caught up on YMYW seasons 1 through 4 via YouTube and just recently found the podcast. Oh, Marcus, you've been binge watching YMYW. For those of you that don't know what YMYW stands for, it's Your Money, Your Wealth. I'm still enjoying it all. Now to the question. When it comes to 401k versus Roth 401k and the whole tax issue, I know it's been back and forth about which is better and why, but how does inflation factor into this equation? My thoughts are Roth 401k is better because taxes are already paid and it grows tax-free, so the money is my money and none is the government's. Damn right, Marcus. Argument 1. Is that you
Typically.
or is that your typically, or is that you typically will be in a lower tax bracket, blah blah blah, in retire? Oh, I see what he's saying there. He's talking to me.
Yes.
Is that you're typically going to be in a lower tax bracket, blah blah blah, retirement, so defer your tax payment. But how does this hold up when inflation is factored into the picture? Given inflation will happen, isn't it wise to prepay taxes now? Hypothetically, if I'm in a 22% tax bracket now and think I'll be in the 12% tax bracket in the future, so I defer taxes until then. Given there's a 20-plus year retirement time horizon when inflation is factored, and how does the 12% tax rate hurt my pockets? Is there a chance I won't be in the 12% bracket because I need to take out more money due to inflation? Am I missing something around inflation and taxes? Help me understand the scenario.
So what he's saying is Roth versus regular 401k. Is it better to do the Roth because of inflation? Because what he's thinking is he's going to be maybe in a higher tax bracket in the future just because inflation, he's going to have higher dollars pulled out. And I would say that there's one thing, Marcus, maybe that you're forgetting, and that is the IRS tax rates are indexed for inflation also. So the 12% tax bracket for a married couple right now goes to about $77,000, single half of that. So next year it'll be $78,000. The year after $79,000.
The inflation they use to increase brackets is a little bit different than what the increase for me to buy a loaf of bread.
Correct. Yeah, and so that's the other part of it, right? But I think let's get that out of the way right off the bat is that the brackets are increased for inflation. So if they use the right inflation amount, let's start there. If they use the right inflation amount, it's same. In other words, by the time you get to retirement, yes, you're going to be pulling more money out of your retirement accounts, but the tax brackets will be much higher. Then we go to part 2, which you're getting at, Joe, which is, are they using the correct inflation amount? And they tend to use a relatively conservative amount. Why? Because that's the way they are. And so you may have to pull out more, right? And you're going to get into these higher brackets sooner. So from that standpoint, it's possible that your analysis could have some merit, especially when you consider medical, which inflation on medical has been a lot higher than regular inflation.
But still, as inflation goes up, that means his cost of living is still going to increase. And if all of his money's in a standard 401k plan, he has to pull more money out of that account. And
Correct.
Every dollar out of that account is going to be subject to tax.
But,
I don't care if it's 12%, 21%, or 22%, or whatever it is.
True.
It's still going, every dollar that comes out of that account is taxed. So does he do the Roth versus the traditional? Well, if he's in the 12% tax bracket now, I would go Roth all day long.
Right. I agreed.
Because what Marcus is not talking about here is that the tax rates are due to change. They're going back to where they were.
Yeah, so
that's what it states in the law unless they change the law.
Actually, he does say, hypothetically, if I'm in the 22% bracket now, and I think I will be in the 12% bracket in the future, the 22% bracket now will be 25% in about 7 years, based upon how it's scheduled to go, right? And the
12% will be 15.
15, correct, yeah. So me personally, just mathematically, if you're going to be in the 12% bracket, versus the 22, I wouldn't be doing a lot of Roth, but there's a lot more to this. And one of the biggest things, and Joe, you always say this, which was when people put money into a Roth and they end up paying the tax and they forget about it and they're glad they've done that in the future. And on the other hand, if you got the 401k, the regular 401k, you got a tax deduction, you had extra paycheck, but you spent it, you're not in a better situation. And that's the emotional part of this.
And I mean, with that small of a delta, Marcus, I don't know. I buy the tax. I would buy the tax today because you're saving a couple of dollars if you go pre-tax, or you're spending a couple of extra dollars if you go Roth. You're not going to remember you spending the extra dollars in tax in 2019 when you need the dollars 20 years from now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying here?
Sure, yeah, exactly.
So let's say he puts in 18.5 into the Roth at 22%.
Your dead calculator?
Yeah, 18.5 at 22% is $4,000.
Right.
Okay, so that's what he would save in taxes if he did that. But now that 18.5 is now in a tax-deferred account, and it's growing, and now that 18.5 is $200,000 20 years from now, everything is going to come out at ordinary income tax.
Right, and then you can take the Roth 401k, you can put your higher expected return assets, like smaller companies, value companies, emerging markets. You'll probably, over the long term, have more assets that way, more tax-free. Something else that's true, in the lowest bracket, or the lowest couple brackets, 10 and 12%, that's where your Social Security may become taxable or it may not be taxable. The lower the income that you show on your Form 1040, the less of your Social Security that will be taxable. And because of that, that 12% bracket really isn't 12%, because every time you add a dollar of income, you're adding another, in some cases, 85 cents of income on Social Security. So it actually works out to about an 18, 19% tax rate.
You just lost everyone.
I know I lost you.
Yeah, provisional income and blah. Marcus, I don't know. I like where your head's at. I like the tax diversification, I think, is the key. We don't know anything about your overall situation. Like, how much money does he have? How old is he? When does he want to retire? Does his wife have? How much money does he have in deferred income and everything else? But I like the analysis. I like, hey, am I missing something here? He's paying attention to his cash, and